Hey, what is up, Buddy Boyo Nation? I am back, and this is an anniversary video because Magister Paris has gone through 1 year of making videos on YouTube and Rumble, maybe. But I'm not going to upload this on Rumble because pretty much I've already made like 2 videos about this. But I just wanted to bring about this notion about the nature of evil, about Mother Nature, you know, the will, right, being all this evil and very antagonistic towards man. All right. And I'm not going to specify who made this comment or where this comment comes from, right? Because even the person himself says it, you know, the beginning of the sentence, right? But the beginning of this post, just my take, right? And you guys can just figure it out, you know, about these words that I put like white duct tape on it because, you know, YouTube community guidelines, right? So that should at least make you know that I am, you know, I'm not gonna be like the average PC woke. Because I'm actually kind of serious about this. But again, this is still my argument nonetheless. It doesn't mean much, you know. I don't want to change your thoughts. I don't want to change these people who say these things because not only am I not interested, I find this a waste of time, but also the fact that it's just they don't seem to. I want them to learn about this by themselves because, like I said before, there's just too many people that aren't really doing anything, you know, just saying and saying, you know. So, yeah, I made this video because I wanted to point something out that I didn't point out in my videos that are exclusive on Rumble. Because they are 15 minutes long, and now we are 2 minutes 20 seconds in. Okay, so Mother Nature is an evil because Mother Nature is where X, Y, and XX coexist, right? I'm gonna read this here. None is innocent. You are correct, right? None is innocent. I personally don't hate the fact that they're innocent. I know some people are critical about them not being innocent. Some of them just wanted to talk about the fact that they're not innocent because of, you know, at the time there was this propaganda and romanticism that makes them look like pretty little angels or whatever, right? I'm not saying that we are better than them, that we are pretty little angels. We just have different flaws, which I'm gonna get into. And then he said, even the so-called good ones, you know, it doesn't matter to me whether they're good or not. You know, they just need to have accountability. If I were to be asked, what do I expect from them? They just have accountability. You know, like them as a collective, right? I'm not referring to them, you know, the ones with the money, but them as in them, you know, the ones that coexist with us, right? I just want them to be accountable, right? That's all. If you ever ask me that, that's all I ever ask for. And if they don't want to be accountable, that's not my fucking problem. Not my problem. And then this is when things started to get fishy for me. Had men never found these, you know, like figure it out yourself, attractive, they would have been it's just, what do you like, you know, okay, I should just say I get it, I get what you're saying. I do think there are some benefits to it, but it's like you shooting an arrow, right? You're shooting a bow, you have a bow and arrow. You see the target, but you just miss the mark. You see the target, but you miss the mark, you know? I understand, you know, I understand where you're going from, where you're coming from, but in general, since we're speaking in generals here, right? We're speaking in generals. We're taking in everyone, right? I just don't see why this is like practical and logical, or even like I would say better, morally better, than them not existing, than them coexisting with us, really. If we as XY were to do this, and this is never gonna happen, by the way, just so that we can be cool here, this is obviously never going to happen. But I think that if this were to actually happen, what is gonna happen is that, yeah, we're gonna be hunting and chilling with each other, but we are also going to fight against each other. I'm sorry, we're also going to fight against each other. I think we are also going to have the willy-nilly with each other, right? I'm just gonna be honest here. I don't see this final sentence about this parallel universe being actually better than us coexisting, because if we were to be the ones in general that are good, right, then the good isn't worth it, honestly, because, you know, good conquers evil, right? And so it is good, right? A is A because there is B, right? You can't have A without B. You can't have X without Y. How would you know it is X without Y? There are differences, right? And this is still like human beings. All animals do this. All animals have vampirism and the Brefault's law. And this isn't necessarily bad, just as us being the protectors, the providers, the caregivers, right? The procreators, the ones who have the seeds, we're not necessarily good, you know. That's the thing, though. The limits of our language, it's sort of like Wittgenstein. You know, I've been talking about Wittgenstein a lot in a lot of these videos, referencing him. It just goes to show he's a very influential philosopher, because he's talking about language, right? It's just, you know, like he said, you know, the limits of my language reveals the limits of my world. It's just, you know, there's limitations to language. Not that language isn't useful, but there are limits to it. You don't really, I don't think you really hit the mark here with this thing, because what would happen is we would have known in the first place that we coexist with our opposites, which is literally 180 degrees different from us, and we are annoyed by it. And yeah, it is understandable, and it is justified. You can make that argument, but when we're left off all alone, we probably would be fending off with each other. We would compete with each other. Yes, there are times when we hunt and chill, but that's not completely true. We would be freaks. You know, we would be freaks. I'm not gonna say the G word. You guys would know it already. Right? How would you know? How would I know? How would we know that we are men if it weren't for them existing in the first place, right? And more importantly, how would we know that we are men if we don't have what is between our waist in the first place? What is between our legs in the first place? Like, come on, let's be real here. Because a few years ago, I watched a movie where this actually happened, right? And yeah, it's a pretty cool movie, I won't lie, but it's not realistic. That's not how the actual world works. We would be freaks, and you know, you just look up a Google search about poop machine willy-nilly, right? I'm not gonna say it. It starts with an A, and then the second word is an S. Figure it out. There are health risks, and humans are not naturally built for it. Both us and them. We are naturally built for the pee in the V, the VS. Figure it out. Once again, figure it out, right? I want you guys to think, right? I want you guys to think about this for a moment. And the reason why I'm saying this is because you don't have to play this game forever. And so do they. Even if they are not aware, if they're not accountable, if they do not take responsibility to themselves, if they are not aware of their mistakes, of the fact that they're quote unquote right? They're mortal. They're mortal. They're not immortal. We're not immortal. And I'm fine with it. I'm honestly fine with it. You know, I'm not saying that we should do whatever the hell we want, because there are consequences to it. That's how you take the contraceptive pills, and then you go on the internet doom scrolling or whatever. But you don't have to do it forever. Right? The only reason why we view history as forever, we view the universe, the narration about how the universe began, you know, we assume it's eternal and whatever, right? Because we have a third person perspective. We have consciousness, which is not bad, but sometimes reason, like Tolstoy, right? He said among the lines that we have to destroy reason for life. Because reason, even though reason is the root of meaning, okay? I understand this is a take. This is not perfect. But given the fact that it isn't perfect, I have to clarify this, you know? And I'm fine if you disagree with me. If you guys, anybody watching this video disagree with me. Just so you know, just so we know, right? Because this has disastrous consequences, in my opinion, if we let this slide. Really. We know this is real. Good and evil is real. The duality of man, and ironically, the duality of them, right? And we just need to be more responsible of it. And you don't even have to get laid to be responsible of it. If you're a sub 5, right? If your genetics, you know, you're not fit enough for the competition, you don't have to do it. I think we've already developed a population big enough for it to happen, right? Let them all be, you know, like... I'm not saying this as an inkwell in denial. I am saying this as an inkwell in affirmal, because this is when this is like, you know, trying to make it so that it's our problem is like, it's probably the reason why our lives are bad, to be honest, like all of our lives. Because here's the thing, you know, this is what I didn't mention in my videos on Rumble that are hours long. I didn't mention the back of the human body. You know, I didn't mention that we have, you know, where the poop comes out, right? Where the poop comes out, as well as in the back of our head is our hair, right? Our hair. So that could represent our shadow, and we all have a shadow, right? And so you could say that we're monsters, and I'm fine with it, because since I'm going to die, I have a mortal body, I can acknowledge my shadow. And if people aren't going to acknowledge their shadow, not my problem at all, right? Call me a simp, whatever. If I'm a simp, I'm at least a simp with a legitimate heart for truth in hand, right? I'm still looking for the truth. I'm still trying to make dialogue and dialectic, right? So yeah, that's all I got, you know. This is just an anniversary video, so it's not that too serious. Just check out my Rumble if you want the full picture, you know, because I think 15 minutes is just not enough for this. Cheers and cauliflower ears, and have a good day, buddy boyos.